All right, everyone. Hi again. It's me, Cassie Marbach, Mrs. Cass Marie, and welcome back. This is about how I became a professional wine taster by the age of 21. And so this video, if you're really interested in actually the details of what you need to do to get your professional wine tasting, which is a sommelier training and certificate, it's not what this video is. I'm going to go into way more details about that in later videos, about study tips and tricks and what you need to know and what you don't need to know and how to sign up. All that nitty-gritty stuff I'll do later. But in this video, it's more like a story of how I actually got to be a wine taster as my job by 21, and just a little bit of background on what that actually is. So for being a sommelier, there's different ways you can get certified. And I did mine through WSET, which is the Wine and Spirit Education Trust. I'm a level 3 now, which means I'm just one level below a master sommelier. And maybe I'll become a master sommelier soon. I'm not sure if that's in the cards in the next year, but I do know if I do it before I'm 24, I think I would be the youngest sommelier in the world, which would be cool. So maybe future something, you'll learn about that and my journey through that. But for now, the way it began is I got my level 1 when I was in college. I had a Bachelor's of Science degree, and I actually got it in viticulture enology, which is the study of winemaking and grape growing. And so in that degree program for my bachelor's, it was a class I needed to take called Wines of the World. And when I tell people about this class, they literally can't believe that this is a real class. I got school credit for it. And basically all I did is I would go to class and I would try different wines each time. Some classes, I would say on average, we tried about 15 wines a class. And of course you were spitting. And at the time I was only 19. So legally I could take the course. I just had to sign a waiver that said I was spitting everything out, which I did, I promise. But in this course, I also got my WSET level 1 training. It was part of it, and you studied for all semester and then you took the test at the end. It's just memorization, and I scored a perfect score, which was awesome, and I give thanks to my awesome Quizlet that I made for giving me that perfect score. But after I took it, my professor came to me and he said, I really think you should keep going. You were the only one who scored perfect. I think if you went to level 2 or 3, you would really benefit from it. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And then I had another professor tell me that I should probably look into it and taking my level 2 or 3. And she told me that I could skip level 2, which if anyone knows me in real life who's watching this, they know I really like to skip things, meaning I graduated when I was 20 with my Bachelor's of Science, and then I skipped my Master's and started my PhD, which again, most people don't know you could do that. I am currently doing that. And then I skipped my level 2 for my WSET and went on to level 3 right away, which I can explain and recommend to do that or not do that in later videos. It really kind of depends on your goals. But I started my PhD, and I also then at the same time signed up for my level 3 sommelier exam and course, right? Kind of in the peak of COVID. It was August of 2020. So I did it online, and what happened is I had my exam scheduled for the end of the summer. So I guess I signed up in June or something and had my exam in August. I am so grateful to God that it got canceled and pushed back because of COVID, and our exam got pushed back, I think 3 times, which is not normal at all, but I got pushed back all the way till it ended up being in March. And what happened is I had a bunch of extra time to study. I had no idea until I really started doing practice exams how much more studying I needed to do. So the week before the exam, we had what was called the snowpocalypse here in Texas. I think some of y'all remember of 2021. Basically, it shut down Texas for a whole week, and I did not leave my house for 4 whole days. I actually know this for a fact. I stayed in my house 4 days straight, trapped. And I was still living by myself at the time because I wasn't married yet, but during those 4 days, I studied wine only. I started dreaming about wine. It was literally all I would do was study for my level 3 exam. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but I passed. Thank the Lord. And I did great in the theory and the written portion of the exam. It was the tasting part that was a little harder for me because I'd also had COVID a few months before, and that, as you know, really messes with your taste buds and smell. So how I passed that portion with wacky taste and smell was another miracle, and there are definitely some tricks and tips I learned during that whole process too that I can definitely share that saved my butt. And then after that, you have to wait like 3 months before they tell you if you pass or not. It's super weird. But 3 months later, I finally find out that I did pass my exam, and I'm now certified as a level 3 sommelier, which is just my little story. And what I'm doing with that, what my life looks like as a wine tasting professional, is kind of fun. I can share more about that later if you're interested. I feel like most people don't know what goes on behind the scenes of the wine world, and I can definitely maybe open the door a little bit for you to look inside this different wine tasting world that's out there and how it's totally something young people can do. And I do know I'm kind of the youngest person in all of Texas right now doing this, so I have a unique perspective, but more about that later. I hope you enjoyed this little story time, and I'll definitely share more stories later down the line about just other crazy stuff I experienced being a young PhD student in this big wide world we live in. Thanks for listening, and then maybe tune in next time for more fun stuff.